Dear world, I have got some interesting stories for you today. And my grandmother may not think they're as great as I do, but I used to toy around with the gimmick because she would get so frustrated and would just get belligerent for a minute. And anyone that knows my grandmother knows what I'm talking about, but I used to call it Grumpy Granny. And so this isn't quite a Grumpy Granny story, but maybe a couple of weeks ago, I cooked some chicken for everyone, and she takes a piece, and she cooks regularly around here. Not saying she's the greatest cook. She can make a mean bowl of cereal. She can boil the shit out some hot dogs, and she's got a few other things she's pretty good at. But when I was growing up at my grandmother's house, it wasn't my grandmother doing the cooking, it was her mother. It was my Nana. So when Nana passed, it became my grandfather. And when my grandfather passed, now we're stuck with grandmother. No, I'm just kidding. LOL, JK, JK, but really though. So I made some chicken, and I was like, here, try this. And she takes a piece of it and bites it, and she goes, ooh, it's juicy. Is it done? And I started laughing because every time she cooks chicken, bless her heart, every time she cooks chicken, it's just dry. And I started laughing, and I said, you have been cooking dry chicken so long that you think the only way chicken is done is when it's dry. And I laughed for the longest time about that. And I know it sounds like I'm coming down on my grandmother. I love my grandmother. Don't get me wrong. I love my grandmother. I've lived with my grandmother since I was 17, I think, 16 or 17. But just yesterday, she comes in. I made a mistake by doing that because my nose started running when I did. So my grandmother comes in, and there's Krispy Kreme donuts out. And shit, you know this fat boy likes him some Krispy Kreme donuts. And so I was like, hell yeah, I know I got company, pardon the laugh. But I'm throwing down on these donuts, right? And if I would have known there were some chocolate donuts, shit, I'd have thrown down on some chocolate donuts. But later on that night, she's trying to cook this Alfredo that she cooked the week before, and it turned out good. She just kept saying it was missing something. I kept trying to tell her that it was fine. Just a little more sauce would have been great. It would have been perfect. And so she's a perfectionist. She wants things to be right. I mean, aren't we all perfectionists at heart? But she so I'm in my room, and I think I'm getting stuff ready to do my football podcast, writing down how I did and writing down the games coming up. And she comes in saying something, and I had my noise cancellation headphones on, so I didn't get to hear it. So I come out my room, and there's 2 more boxes of donuts. So now there's 3 dozen donuts, where I only thought there was a dozen. And I was thinking to myself, I was like, damn, when she have time to go back to Krispy Kreme? And when I opened the box, it looked like what had once been chocolate donuts, but the chocolate was all on the bottom of the box, and the box was hot. And then she proceeds to tell me that she bought these donuts. She had a coupon to like buy one, get one free on a dozen donuts. And so she bought like 2 dozen glazed donuts and a glazed chocolate donuts. And she put 1 box out and then put the other 2 in the oven, thinking to herself, I'm not going to use the oven tonight. But when she was cooking, she boils the noodles, she cooks the chicken, and then she uses the food processor to chop the chicken up, because people like me, you know, my front teeth are fine, but my back ones are broke. So tough meat's kind of hard sometimes. So she was doing me a solid and using the food processor to chop up the chicken. And I love her for it because it's a lot easier to eat that way. And now all she does is she puts it all into a cake dish, and then she puts shredded cheese over it, and then puts it in the oven to melt the cheese. But when she put the donuts in the oven, she thought to herself, I'm not going to be using the oven tonight. And so she starts preheating that oven. And then she starts saying, what's that smell? What is that smell? And she remembers that she left these donuts in the oven and was preheating them at 400 degrees. And so what we have now is a box of glazed donuts formerly known as glazed donuts and a box of donuts formerly known as chocolate donuts. Now, the chocolate donuts has got a pool of chocolate underneath it, and the glazed donuts got a pool of the icing glaze. And it was just so funny to me. Like, I couldn't stop laughing about that. Like, she bought, like, next time she needs to ask the baker, ask Krispy Kreme, like, what temperature needs to put her oven on when she gets home to recook the donuts, because apparently that's what she likes doing. But anyways, I love my grandmother. I don't want you to think otherwise. I don't want her to think otherwise. I love my mama. But that was just too funny. And I thought that it would be a great content. I just couldn't keep that to myself. And she's going to hate me for it, but she'll get over it. She'll get over it. Anyways, this is a much shorter video. Because I'm trying to put content out on a more regular basis, so maybe I won't be holding all this content in, and I'm going to start getting more regular videos out. If you haven't checked out my new track, You Ain't Bad, I'm going to put the link in the description below. Go check that out. No. You ain't bad. Anyway, so go check that out in the description below. Give me some input on it, whether you like it, whether you didn't, whether you think I'm a piece of trash or I'm the next Haystacks. Whatever you think, let me know. I like all input. Anyways, I hope you like, hope you subscribe, hope you come back to view more. There's another little piece of me. Oh yeah, I shaved that beard I said I was talking about shaving. I forgot how well I can rock this goatee. Anyways, here's another little piece of me for you.